Hey everybody, it's Jody here with Dr. Melanie Pugh's office, and we're doing something new. Now, I have done a few videos for our YouTube channel over the years, but we thought it would be fun to do a little series where we just kind of talk through some things that patients or people who may be interested in becoming patients might like to know. And so I have Melanie here, and we're going to talk a little bit about how dentistry's changed and what that looks like for patients today. And I promised her that I would let everyone know those little lines behind her picture there. We're about to paint and put carpet down in the office. So we've got swatches painted all over her office. And so we're kind of in the middle of or about to do a little bit of remodeling. Hi, Dr. Pugh. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Are you excited about this?
I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's good. So here's the we work together, obviously. We're in the same building right now. I'm just a few offices down, but we've worked together now for 20 years. It's kind of crazy. And we've been married for 30 years. And she has been a dentist for 30 or 31 years. And we were just kind of talking about it today. We were kicking around some topics we're going to want to cover as we go through this series of interviews or topics or whatever you want to call it. And I was thinking, you know what? Why don't we just talk about how dentistry has changed? Because dentistry's for us, having lived through the old dentistry world to what we're doing today, even after 30 years for her and 20 years for me being in this industry, it's really exciting what we're doing and seeing and how it's changed. So, Melanie, Dr. Pugh, you graduated from dental school when and from where?
1994, the University of Kentucky.
So, you graduated in 1994, and just tell the story of when you got out of dental school. You went into your worked in the Appalachian Clinic for a little bit, and then opened your own practice. So just kind of tell real quick the story. Not going to focus on that as much as what the dentistry was like, but just to set the tone for where you were at that time.
Well, I was in just a clinic setting, like a rural clinic. And basically, the dentistry was old-fashioned x-rays were developing with fixer and developer, paper charts, everything. I think about the dentistry itself. If we had missing teeth, well, a lot of people just chose to take their teeth out. But if there's missing teeth, maybe there was only options of removable appliances at that point. Implants weren't really a huge thing then. So I think of it as basic silver fillings, removable appliances for people's teeth. Not a lot of cosmetics happening at that point in that area anyway. And then I don't know, it was just basic, almost like dental school just
And,
extended.
and that was the Appalachian Clinic. Then you were there for about 3 years or so, and you opened your own
Right.
practice in a small town in Kentucky. Technology wise, though, what now that you're in your own practice and versus the Appalachian Clinic, because you think the Appalachian Clinic, you just automatically think it's not going to have the type of dentistry you're doing and the type of things you have. But you opened your own practice. What was your front desk like? What kind of tools did they use? How did you keep records for your patients? And what kind of fillings and what kind of x-rays were you doing once you got into your own practice in 19, what would that, right about somewhere right around 2000, probably
Yeah.
1999.
Well, I remember the big appointment book that was spread out in at the front desk. So the appointments got written in with a pencil. We did not have digital charts, so all you have file cabinets of digital paper charts everywhere. The X-rays were still developing. We transitioned into one type of digital X-ray at some point, maybe 2 or 3 years into it, but in the beginning, it was fixer and developer, the old machine, the dark room type thing. What else?
What type of fillings were you doing?
silver fillings and then transitioning to white, to the resin.
Yeah.
But
So
resin
the,
was still very limited at that point because they were only on maybe a generation 4 or 5 at that point, and they were not strong enough for back teeth. So we were limited in how we could use those. I think too, our crowns were metal based. I did a lot of gold crowns, full gold crowns. And ironically, back then, the gold crown, the full gold crown was a lot cheaper than doing the metal fused to porcelain crown, which is totally flip-flop now with the
that's
price of
hard
gold.
to believe. I guess I was around, so I should believe it, but that's pretty wild because gold is really expensive now.
Yeah, and even in dental school, we had to if we had a patient that needed a gold crown or wanted a gold crown, we had to cast it ourselves. The lab did
Mm.
not do that for us. So we had to go check the gold out, get the gold. They give you the gold from the lab, and then you got to go melt it down and cast it. But I don't know that dental students even know how to do that
Well,
now.
so side note was we were just going to talk about how dentistry has changed. But I think for people in our generation, we're Gen Xers. We were kids in the 70s, teenagers in the 80s, middle school. I started middle school, I think, in 1980 or 81. And we were a very interesting generation because we literally grew up in the 70s in the old world. And then, but we came up. So I remember when and so
Yeah.
we've been through, and I think that's one of the cool things when I think about what makes you and other doctors your age or your generation, man, you've seen a lot of change, and I think there's an understanding you probably have about dentistry, having come through that maybe is just a little more context than not saying it's better than a doctor who may come out today, but a little more different, more in different context. So then we moved to Florida, 2003. You opened a practice here in 2006, and I joined you. That's a story for another day of how and why that happened. The dentistry was different in 2006. Part of it was maybe because of where we were located. Part of it was probably because just time had passed by. So talk about the technology in 2006.
2006, we were starting to get digital as far as impressions, what we call scans. We were doing 3D printing now with for the crowns. So people were buying the little machines that go in their office and they can actually print the crown out. We tried that for a while too. It was starting to be much more digital, virtual, online type thing. I remember our charts. We went to, software that handled, now we have digital charts. And I remember just crying in the hallway that I just want to hold a chart. I just want to hold a chart. I felt so out of water or out of sync not holding a chart. And when we went to digital x-rays, I thought this will never work. This is just like a fad that's going to go away. This will never ever work. And now I think, how did I do it holding up a film to a light and trying to diagnose and see what was going on with it, which is what I wanted to do. I really wanted to hold that film up to the light and view it. And now it's like I would never go back. So
So comparing the two, com comparing the two, your first office that you opened in the late 90s and the one you opened in 2006, 7 or 8, 9 years difference in time, not as close together. But already there had been a lot that had changed. I remember being in, I didn't work with you in the office in Kentucky, but I obviously helped you build it out and was around and all of that. And, I remember when our reps came in that helped us start this practice, and they're like, are you going to go digital or are you going to go paper? And you really need to go digital. You really need to go digital. And it's like, we had to make that decision. Like, you wouldn't even make that decision today. And, we went in, and I remember your front desk staff having that same book that sometimes you might see in the hair salon today, like writing in the columns. and the paper charts stacked up, or all that storage you had to have for that, the white fillings and all of that. And we opened this practice in 2006, digital x-rays. You literally are sitting in the x-ray development room in the office because there had been a doctor in this facility in this location before you opened in 2006. You're literally sitting in the x-ray development room. You went into your office and you flipped that do not enter light that's above the door to let people know that you're busy. And so it's all digital, all the information for the patients in the computer, and all of a sudden you're involved in implants and big cases and doing things. And I think maybe that's where you got like really started to see transformation in people's lives. Talk a little
Yeah,
bit about what the newer technology in 2006 was able to do to help you transform people's lives.
I think in 2006, we were more, if to use this kind of cliche, like smile makeovers. That was a really popular thing. People would come in and, I want a smile makeover. I want a new smile. And it basically meant that we're going to cut their teeth down and do veneers, porcelain veneers, or we're going to do porcelain crowns. Not so much was talked about functioning. We would basically, or I shouldn't say we, but I would do crowns and veneers. Okay, let's do it. And where I think we've evolved is now we're looking more at function and your bite and your joints. Like it all plays together. And it's more than just making the smile pretty. It is really transforming that person's life because of the cosmetics or the aesthetics of it, but also because of the function. They're no longer in pain, or they're able to eat what they want to eat. Their joints are now very stable and healthy. Their teeth are not wearing down. Their chin is not getting closer to their nose. They're not getting the negative wrinkles. Like it is just more comprehensive that way than it
Yeah.
was back in '06. '06 to me was more of just everybody wanted to look good. And we're just doing a lot of porcelain.
Yeah.
We also, that was probably a time when porcelain crowns started to evolve too. More so now, maybe, but no metals being used. Very rarely are we using metal in crowns. So,
You know what I think of? I remember, when you opened your practice in Kentucky or when you first got out of dental school and the type of dentistry that you were doing. And I remember when we came to Florida, and I remember you talking about how, man, we're doing these implants. Part of this was maybe where you're located too, but we're doing these implants. And I remember you talking about how it was just unbelievable how significant this advancement was for the patient, because prior to that, lose a tooth, you do a bridge, you have bone loss, you have all the trouble that goes with a bridge. Now, all of a sudden, this implant is giving you like a real tooth back, and you don't have the negative consequences of the bridge. And I remember you talking about how crazy that was of a great advancement, like it's the greatest
mhm.
advancement dentistry has ever seen. And one of the challenges that I've seen over the years has been with people who have, let's say they have a lot of teeth that are loose and some of them are now missing, and you're trying to figure out what do I do? And this complexity of these cases where there's a lot of really difficult teeth, but the mindset was let's save all the teeth or whatever. And now, and I'm not saying that we're a let's pull all your teeth kind of office, but there is an option that is out there now that feels to me even bigger and more significant than
Mhm.
what the implant was back 20 years ago when you first opened this practice, and how it's impacting patients' life. And that is the all on four denture solution. So,
We used to do a lot of heroic dentistry. Like you said, we would really try to save things. We would do procedure, treat it, trying to save it. And you end up investing a lot of money. And in the end, it sometimes it fails on you anyway. And the prognosis is not that great and longevity is not there. So they've really, as far as surgery goes, implants have really been perfected and very successful. And with the all on four, it's more predictable. It's an investment, but it's an investment that's going to last. You're one and done. And I think it changes someone's life because now all of a sudden they have this stable mouth. They can eat what they want to eat, and it's beautiful, and it's going to last. And they're not dealing with, onesie twosie. Here, I've got to fix this. I've got to fix this again. I have to fix this. So it is truly amazing. And I
Yeah,
think just the success rate, it gives you peace of mind that, wow, this really does work. And
yeah. It's funny when I think of the trends you were talking about, like the smile makeover is almost like a trend, that sort of thing. And when I think back, I remember when you first started, all these dentists, and if there's dentists out there who do this today, I don't mean any shade or anything, but it was kind of a big thing with making a dental spa. They
yeah,
went from trying to be a dental spa. I never was a big fan of that because I felt like it minimized the clinical relevance or importance or medical significance of dentistry by making it more retailish. So I was never like,
yeah, I agree.
that's not something I would want to do in our practice. And then as we got into the 2000s and you had like this makeover, like extreme makeover TV shows are on TV and pushing these smile makeovers. And what was really cool about that, though, I wasn't a big fan of the dental spa, but the smile makeover I was because of it. And our mission statement here in the practice is healthy, happy smiles. That comes from you because you told us years ago that the thing that thrills you the most about dentistry is helping someone. People have such self-esteem issues or self-confidence with their smile and and when you've helped people and it had nothing to do with money, it could be just rounding off something that made them feel insecure or a big case or whatever. It just like filled your heart helping people get that sense of confidence and feeling comfortable and not being ashamed of their smile or whatever. And so the smile makeover, I think, is really cool and has led to big transformations in people's lives. But there's now this whole new transformation by being able to do all on four dentures. Basically, it's like removing instead of having 20 really complicated bombed out teeth that are about to fall out and loose, you're trying to crown, it's like take those out, do the four implants, and a denture pops on, and it just eliminates so much
The
of the
denture is
problems.
actually screwed into the implant. So
Screwed
they
on.
don't take it in and out at all. It is actually screwed in to the
So
implant.
it's like a whole, in a sense, like where the implant gives you that permanent tooth feeling. It's not like a bridge, it's not like traditional denture. And now what's really cool is we're seeing these transformations in the quality of life that people are having by being able to eat and chew and not being afraid, like eating on one side of their mouth at dinner with their friends. They're not having to do that. And it's just amazing because this is where I'm excited because I'm seeing transformations that I never thought we'd be able to do at this level because of this, newer dental technology. And that's what I would like to tell people is like, hey, we're a dental practice that, one, we're not going to say stuff you don't need. We're big thing is like we do high quality dentistry, we do good work, we use good materials, good labs, but we really focus on listening to the patient. What is it that's your priority? Let's try to help you, give you the best solution to your situation based on what your priorities are. And we've been doing these cases now that have been transforming people's lives, not just like on the aesthetic standpoint, but functionally, and they look great. So it kind of accomplishes that too. And that's why I'm excited. That's why I wanted to talk about this with our first little video. It's like, man, we're doing crazy stuff that is not really crazy stuff. We're doing stuff that is changing people's lives in a crazy way that we didn't get to do in the past, primarily from these all on four dentures. And it's super, super cool.
And we're still doing the small makeovers with crowns that are definitely transforming lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
Yeah, I
are
don't want to sound like we're not doing that, but we do everything, like you come in and we take care of our patients. We're still like your typical family practice. We always try to have a hometown vibe and all of that sort of thing, but it's exciting because we're transforming people, not just aesthetically, but we're also transforming their functional lives as well, which can lead to health, longer term health, better health, and other things as well. Now, the Melanie Pugh DMD that started in 2006 doesn't look exactly like the Melanie Pugh DMD today. And you have three other doctors that are in the practice. So just tell me about those three doctors so that people, if they're watching this, they'll know that
Mhm.
you're not seeing all the patients these days.
These guys are great. I We went through great lengths to find them and make sure they were a right fit with me and my philosophies and my ethics and my morals, all that. And clinically, they are very, very smart ladies. Dr. Coolyard has been with me the longest, and then we had two other ones join 2 years ago, I think.
I think 3 years ago,
3 years ago. A time
or
like really go.
four. It may be four. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but they're great clinicians, great people, fun to be around, smart. I would feel comfortable with any of them working on me. So,
Yeah, I will have to brag on myself a little bit. I brought my corporate wisdom into hiring process and finding the right fit sort of doctors. And I'll tell you, the big thing for us was it was an extensive and exhaustive search to hire the last couple of doctors. Dr. Couillard actually fell in our lap and we weren't looking for an associate doctor, but her parents' neighbors called and said, "Hey, this doctor is graduating from University of Louisville Dental School. I think she'd be a great fit in the office." We talked to her and she was totally a great fit in the office. And so what we focus on is with our associate doctors when we've gone through that hiring process is do you line up your values line up with ours? Are you respectful? Are you like normal? If you have like that stuffy doctor, it's like, yeah, it's probably not the right place for you here. Just regular people, excellent clinicians, and excellent with people and values that align with ours. And that is what we are so obsessive about when it comes to not just doctors, anybody that comes to work here. We're definitely a right fit sort of office. And so, these doctors are younger than you, right?
much
And
younger.
what's so exciting is they're younger than you. They're also not as crunchy as you, and they're more excited about, and they're going out and really making some awesome things happen in the practice. And it's just fun. It's exciting. I'm like the old guy in the practice now too, and I get to see how dentistry's changed, how we're changing people's lives, and it's just
I
cool.
think too, like as you get older and you're ready to slide out the door, you start like maybe not wanting to grasp the new things, the
Mhm.
and not push yourself. These guys, they're not afraid to grow. They're not afraid to be pushed. They're not afraid to take on the new stuff, to try it. Let's go, let's see. So it keeps me kind of fresh and not so stale, having the young ones around.
I would agree. It has been good for you to have the young energy. Been definitely good for you to have the young energy. So, anything else you want to say about how dentistry's changed in the last 30 years?
I think we're becoming more aware of chemicals and products, I guess, that we're using. So that would be another positive thing I move that I think dentistry's taking.
Yeah, that's true. So one of our rules in the practice is anytime that we're going to use a lab, if we've never used them before, I have to interview them. And I interview the lab. They always say, no one's ever asked me this before, but I have to find out what are the raw materials they're using, who makes it, is this, are your Are your crowns being shipped out overseas to be fabricated? Are they being designed overseas? That happens a lot in the more budget-oriented type of dentistry, probably where crowns are scanned and then that scan is sent overseas. It's done where it's more affordable and then sent back. We only use name brand high quality materials in dentistry. We don't do any of that, or we buy like the big brands like 3M or the others that are really high quality. All of our labs are domestic. All of our supplies, all of our products are BPA free, and all of them are name brand high quality things as well because of that commitment to quality that we take seriously. It was very good catching up with you. I'm excited about dentistry. I know you're excited about dentistry. And so, anyways, and so for our folks, if you are still with us, we appreciate you. Like every other YouTube person out there, like and subscribe. So, if you are watching this, love it if you could like and subscribe because we're going to be doing more of these and maybe we'll talk about something that you're interested in the future. So with that being said, thank you everyone. We really appreciate you.